Hey guys, it's Saraya, and today I am going to be tier ranking all the books I've read this year. So it's been a long year. I know it, you know it. I don't have to talk to you about how long of a year it's been. It is finally time for us to look back at all the books I've read during this year, and so you can see my thoughts, my opinions, but I want to do it in a fun, cool way. I wanted it to be interesting, and I wanted to do some reflection while I was doing this as well. So of course we're gonna do a tier list. But yeah, I think I've read 61 books this year, which beat my goal. My goal was like 52, I think. But yeah, 61. I'm not gonna include like all the books I've read just because a few of them were for school and they're like nonfiction and they're like, I don't want to rank them. It just feels wrong. But that leaves us with like 57 or something. So still enough. Yeah, let's just get into it. So just looking at the categories. So it's just, you would never understand, because simply you wouldn't. You wouldn't understand my love for these books, my attachment for these books, my appreciation for these books. You just would never understand it, so it's whatever. Second, Call Me a Dog. Yeah. Call Me a Dog the way I eat the shit up. That's how I feel about these books. Pretty simple. They're good. Like, you might understand it, but you know. Okay, right in the middle we have AO3 material. So AO3 is a place where people typically write fan fiction. Sometimes you get the highs of the highs, like really great stuff. Sometimes you get like absolutely trash, like you would never read this and be okay ever again. But a lot of time it falls right in the middle. Like, it's just like, oh, this is okay. And that's it. So that's how I feel about this AO3 material category. Next we have Winning the IDGAF War. It's just, I really don't care about these books. I really don't remember it or don't care about it, or just very lukewarm, very just like, oh, you know? And then last but not least we have Put a Shredder on My Christmas List. That's how bad these books were. I had to request a shredder because I can't even stand to have them in my room. I feel like very self-explanatory for all of these categories. But I'm a person, I try not to read books that I know I'm gonna actively hate or actively not enjoy just because I don't love to put myself there. But also this year was kind of not a great reading year for me. Like, there's a few good books that I really enjoyed, but compared to like last year where I felt like I was like getting banger after banger, like this year is very like, ugh. So I think a lot of them are gonna fall in the middle. That's my prediction. We'll see. Here are the books that I'm going through. They should be mostly in order of how I read them throughout the year, but don't quote me on that. So starting with Convenience Store Woman. This one I actually read twice. I read it was the first book I read this year, and then I also read it for class, I think in the middle of November, so not too long ago. I think I read the same both times around. I guess like it didn't really stick with me. It was fine. It's a good read, it's a quick read. It was nice to start my year off with it because I just flew through it and then I was done. I think I might put it here. Like, I don't know, it's good. And I do enjoy parts of it. I just really don't care about it. It's there. I don't know. Hot take? I don't know. This is gonna be a lot of feelings. I'm so scared. Okay. Starting out strong. Yeah. Okay, Sorcerer of Thorns. I did not like this book. I thought I like standalone fantasy books when they're good, and this one was just a little bit too underdone for me, I think. And it was just not good. There's like, I don't know. I think I already got rid of it. I don't want to be harsh. Like, I really don't want to be harsh because it's not me. And even if I put books in this bottom list, it's not like these books are terrible unless I say they are, but it's mostly just I don't need these books in my life. They bring no joy. I like, if they're in a shredder versus like as a book, it makes no difference in my life. So it's just gonna sit there. There's no negative feelings besides that I thought it was a waste of time for me. Dial A for Aunties. Okay, this book was fun, it was cute, and it was quick. And I think it has to go in Teo 3 material. Yeah, like it was just very like, it definitely wasn't like a book I loved, or like it wasn't a book that I ever like had an emotional investment in, but it was like so fun to read. Like it was just fun. So why wouldn't I? You know. Okay, we have The Deep. Ooh, this book was my first Nick Cutter book, and it's one of my first like, it's more horror than thriller, I think. And it's very psychological type of horror where it's not like, I really can't even describe it, but it's about this man who goes like into this like underwater base where his brother is working after like he hasn't been responding, and it's like super far down, and he like goes alone, and they're like doing experiments, and it's super weird and creepy, and then the end kind of just, it happens, stuff happens, it's unhinged, but it's good. It was good. I really enjoyed it. It made me want to read more of his books. I don't think it's in Call Me a Dog though. I don't think, well maybe. I did eat it up. I did eat it up. Okay. Next, Little Women. I love this book. It was a great book, and it was a lot more accessible than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like old-timey. I don't really know why. Like it's old, but like it's not old, and it's not like impossible to read. But yeah, I love the movie. I think it was a great read and a necessary one. I think it's gonna go in AO3 material though. I feel like I'm gonna get hate on this. Am I gonna get hate? I don't know. Don't. Also, this might not like align with my star ratings like of books I've talked about on this channel, just because like sometimes I change my mind. I'm just a girl. Also, this is just like in hindsight how I view these books, like looking back on them, because a lot of times I rate books like when I'm like close the page, and sometimes I need to think on it a little bit more, and then I'm like, oh, or I'm like, oh, you know, it kind of varies though. Okay, so Daughter of the Moon Goddess. This book was really good up until like the end, which I didn't really love. Not even because it was bad, it just set up a trope that I don't really like, and yeah. But it was really good, and I still am invested. I really like the world and the main character. I'm gonna put an AO3 material. I'm sorry, that end just got me, and that's why I haven't read the second book yet. Ace of Spades. Okay, I feel like I haven't seen people talk about this book enough. Like, I've seen a good amount of people talk about it, but not enough for like what it deserves. So read it maybe. But it's about these two black kids who are like the only black kids in their school, and like they get targeted. Like it's like scary, and it's like creepy, and it's like really good. You should read it. It was such a quick read too. I think I sat down like a day or two and read it because it was just like so fast-paced and like interesting. So I think it's gonna go right there. Yeah, that feels right. That feels right in my bones. Okay, Pride and Prejudice. Okay, Never Let Me Go. This book, everyone talks about loving it. I didn't. I read it for class, even though like I was gonna read it anyway. Didn't like it. It felt like a waste of time. It felt like there's places it could have gone that I would have really enjoyed, and then it didn't. And then it went really far off, and I was like, really? Oh, that's what we're doing now? Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, I feel like this is what feels right in my heart, and I know if people go on my Goodreads, they're gonna be like, you didn't rate it that low. No, because it's like it's a good book, it's well written, and it tackles a lot of good thoughts and subjects or whatever, but like this is how I feel in my heart. Like, do I really care if it's on my bookshelf or in the shredder? Okay, the Oleander Sword. This is the second book in the Jasmine Throne series. You've heard me talk about it enough. I'm not gonna say much. Yeah, you would never understand how much this series means to me, just because it's indescribable. I talk about it all the time simply because you would never understand. I could talk about it a million times and you would never understand it. Ever. And it's fine. Like, you're good. Like, we don't need to talk about it, but just know you would never understand it. American Born Chinese. This is like a cute little, not cute, cute graphic novel. It follows like 3 stories. It's also about to be a movie. I don't know how they're gonna do that. I think I've seen the trailer though. Is it already out? It might be out. But yeah, I think it's gonna go on IDGF. But I think it's a good read, and I think it's like a fun read for school especially, and sometimes maybe even a necessary read. I feel like if this was like taught in like maybe 7th grade, people will eat it up. And it's like, it's funny, like it's super funny. I just really don't care about it right now. But I might watch the movie, but also it's only if it like comes to me. Okay, Daisy Jones and the Six. Hot take, didn't like this book. That is a stretch. I didn't hate this book, didn't love this book. It was a book. It was a book, and I see why people like it though. I do see the appeal, it just wasn't one of the things that clicked for me. I'm gonna go in AO3. Just because I know realistically it wasn't the book's fault that didn't super work for me, is more of a me fault. Actually it's definitely gonna go in IGF. I haven't even finished the series like on Prime yet. I just really don't care. It was like, maybe I should go back in AO3 because I feel like AO3 is books I would like recommend. Well, no, because I would still recommend the books. I don't know. It's gonna stay there for now. Here. And I can go back if I feel like it. It's just, it wasn't for me. But I didn't hate reading it. It just wasn't enjoyable necessarily either, so. Okay, next we have Legendborn, which is my pride, my joy, my favorite book series, YA book series maybe. It's very good so far. And you would never understand it. This was actually a reread for me this year. I read it first time like 2 summers ago, ate it up, like literally felt like a physical connection to this book. Physical, emotional, mental, like I was this book. And then second book came out, which, oh my gosh, do I not have it on this list? Okay, so I did forget a book for sure, because I read Bloodmark this year as well, which should be on here, because I read Legendborn again, so I can read Bloodmark. And I would say Bloodmark would go and Call Me a Dog. Ooh, yes, okay. The thing with Bloodmark was, I feel like overall it was Call Me a Dog, and then there was like a few scenes that would go into like you would never understand because you would never understand it. But pretend Bloodmark is there. I wish I could do like halves. Whatever. Okay, The Marrow Thieves. This was a really good read. I enjoyed it a lot. It's like a sci-fi book about the indigenous people living in Canada. People have lost their ability to dream, except for the indigenous people, because it's like in their bone marrow, which is like super crazy. So they're being like hunted and taken to these like schools to like be harvested, and it's super weird and creepy, but it's like so thought-provoking and really interesting. I like this book a lot. I'm gonna say it goes in AO3 material. Definitely like on the higher side. I just wasn't like eating it up, but I was eating for sure, but probably not like a dog. Summer I Turned Pretty. I read this book really out of boredom, and I had the audiobook, so I'm like, why not? Exactly what I thought it was gonna be like. I don't feel a need to finish the series. I'm just gonna watch the show. I kind of just know what happens anyway, because I've just been in the book community long enough to like know. Going in the shredder. Hunger Games. I'm gonna go in AO3 material just because if I hadn't seen the movies already and like loved the series already, it would probably be in Call Me a Dog. It was definitely like a fun read and stuff that I loved reading about, but since I already knew what happens, it wasn't the same like grip on me that it would have had if I was like younger reading it and didn't know what was happening. Very good though. I feel like there's so many on AO3, there's so many like Hunger Game AUs for different fandoms, so like I kind of have to put it in AO3, right? Like you go to the most random fandom and they're gonna have a Hunger Games AU. First Harry Potter, IDGAF. It was fine. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about it besides I don't really care. I don't really care. Okay, Cruel Prince. This is actually a reread. I read the first one and then I realized I should probably finish the series. I read the first one like 4 years ago maybe. Whenever it came out, like right after it came out, I'm pretty sure, no. It was around the time the second one came out because I remember I read it, then went to the bookstore and bought the second one. And then the third one wasn't even close to coming out. But I think Cruel Prince will go here. It's definitely my least favorite in the series, and I think that's why I stopped kind of reading it after. Even though I picked up the second book, I'm like, I really don't care about reading it. But yeah, Wicked King though, I can't remember. I think it definitely would go in AO3 material. I don't remember how it compares to Queen of Nothing though. I think they would both go in AO3 material. Because I think my favorite was Wicked King. Like, it was definitely... Do I need to go back on my Goodreads review? The thing was, with Queen of Nothing, I enjoyed it. I just, by the end of it, I wanted the series to be done with. Like, I wanted to stop reading these books. So I was kind of rushing it, and I think I kind of, not ruined it for myself, because it was already, like, not up there for me to ruin, but I was just like, okay, whatever. It's good. It's there. But I did enjoy it overall. There's some really great like moments and scenes, and I love the characters, so yeah. But I just like, it was like everything that would work for me, but it just didn't click, but it works so that's why it's like there. Okay, Cafe on the Shore. This was my first Murakami for this year, and as you can see, I've read a lot more. I think I read 6 of his books this year. This one's gonna go and Call Me a Dog. Really enjoyed this one. Minus the weird scenes and the depictions of women and, you know, all that. This one's really good. It's one of, I've read a few Murakami's before this year, and this one was definitely my favorite. Like, at that time when I was reading this, I'm like, oh, this is good. He has good stuff. And this is my Murakami collection now. So these two down here is Hear the Wind Sing and Pinball, which are the first 2 novels he's ever written, which are like, not even novels, they're like novellas. I read them pretty much the same night. I think my life would be perfectly fine if I would never pick these up. Like, they're not actively doing anything bad to me, they really just, like, they kind of wasted a night. But I made a TikTok about it, so. Okay. Then After Dark by Murakami. After Dark is my favorite Murakami book that I've read this far. Definitely go, and you would never understand, because you would never understand. I read this book. Okay, imagine me in Iceland on the plane back to the States, and me reading my little After Dark on the plane for 6 hours. And I'm like, wow, that was a whole experience for me. So, and I loved it. It's a great book. It's one of my favorite books by him. And I think it really shows his writing when it's not being like bad. And also the main character, or at least one of the main characters, is a female who isn't constantly being sexualized or like treated as a non-human, so great stuff. Next is The Cabinet. This book I just picked up randomly at the bookstore because I thought it was pretty and I liked the pink cover and the chameleon. And actually it ended up being pretty good. Like, I sat at the cafe for a couple hours reading this just because I'm like, why not? I think it's gonna go in AO3 material. Like, it was good. I would definitely recommend it to people. It didn't do anything special for me, but it definitely like was a nice way to spend my afternoon. Foul Lady Fortune. This is the first book in the spin-off series of Chloe Yong's, what's it called? These Violent Delights. I didn't really love it. I've talked about this book a few times. I didn't really love it. It let me down a little bit actually, so yeah, it's fine. I'll move on. This Woven Kingdom. This book actually, this book actively made me mad because it had so much potential and such great elements, and it ended up being like a terrible book for me. A lot of it is definitely a me thing. This is written by the same author who wrote the Shatter Me series, and I was very skeptical of picking this up but I wanted to read it. It sounded really good, and I enjoyed maybe the first half, and then the second half let me down, and then the ending was really, really bad to me. And I realized that it's just exactly what I expected it to be, which was super disappointing, and it's going to go in my shredder. Yeah. This one, like, when I think about it, makes me mad. Just the experience, which, and the thing is, like, it's a good book, and a lot of people like it, like, rightfully so, like, you should like this book. I'm just being annoying about it, but it just let me down, so. But I do have the second book, so I'm probably gonna read it. Who knows, maybe I'll hate it less. Okay, Little Fires Everywhere. Like, look at me catching up to 2018. I think AO3 material. I like this book a lot. I thought it was gonna be not good, so pleasantly surprised, actually. Yeah. Wow. I think we're like halfway through, and this is not the distribution. Like, it's kind of what I expected it to be, but not really. I don't know. Carmilla. Honestly, Call Me a Dog. I really like this one. It's short. My edition has pictures and it's about vampires. I ate it up. Okay, A Memory Called Empire. I talk about this book all the time because it's one of my favorites. I think it's incredible. I think that everyone should read it, and I think we should have more books like it. Like, just in general. It's about this girl who gets sent to like her main empire. It's like sci-fi, so she lives at outer space on a station, and she gets sent to the main empire to represent her like little station and stuff. She has to figure out who killed her past like ambassador, like the one she's taking the spot of, and a lot of stuff goes down. It's super interesting and it's fun. You would never understand it though, so don't even try, because you would never understand. Okay, so Juniper and Thorn. Some of y'all about to be real mad at me. I really don't care about this book. I wanted to like it, didn't. I wanted to care about it, really didn't. It was good for what it was. Sure, maybe. I really don't remember a lot of it anymore. Just remember I didn't love it. Kind of felt like a slog to get through, but that's okay. Like, I definitely see why people like it. I just think it didn't work for me, and I was just bored, but also just like turned off of it. I was like not interested in reading it, which is fine. Books are like that. Night Crawling. This book changed my life. I love this book so much. I think it was a great book, and I really don't know where to put it though. It's either gonna be one of these two, because I can't think of like anything bad to say about this book, but I don't think like putting it with these, I don't know. I think it'll belong in Call Me a Dog. Like, I really ate it up. Like, I ate it up, but it doesn't belong with these, so. Okay, next is Vicious. This book was another one I wanted to like. I did like it. I liked it a lot, actually. I think I gave it 4 stars. I don't know why I'm talking about like it's terrible, but it just wasn't my favorite. I think there's some things that could have been done better, and I don't know if I'm going to continue with the second book, but I think for what it is, I think it's a good book, and I definitely ate it up. Beartown. I feel like everyone's read Beartown, or at least heard of it, and I think that's for a good reason. I think this book is devastating, but also really good, and a book that a lot of people should read, because why wouldn't you read it? Besides like trigger warnings and stuff like that. I'm gonna call the thing with this book, the bad thing is that it put me into a slump, but it's not the book's fault. It's just it has like some really heavy content in it, so every time I picked it up I felt like this sense of dread and anxiety that made me like want to stop reading. Like, it was hard for me to get through, but not in a bad way, because I really wanted to know what happens, and I enjoyed the storytelling. It just like made me like feel terrible. So I don't know if I can put it in Call Me a Dog, because like I was eating it up, but like I was not eating it up. Like, I was nibbling, and then I had to sit down and take a lap, you know? Okay, maybe I'll put in AO3 material. Like, that's making me mad though, but I think it belongs there. I'm just gonna leave it there and we can see what happens. Okay, After the Quake, another Murakami. This one's just a collection of short stories. It was easy to get through. Some of the stories were great, some of them were not great. I'll put it here. I think the thing with short story collections is I'm bound to love one of them and hate one of them, and so it always kind of just evens out for me to like, I think I give this 3 stars, even though like on my Goodreads I ranked every story, like I put like the star number next to it, just because some of them I really enjoyed and some of them I didn't. So I'll just put it there, just because I know there's more stories I didn't like than liked. I also don't remember all of them, so. Okay, The Idiot. This book, I wanted to love it as much as everyone else loved it. Didn't. But I can see why people like it. I want to read Either Or soon. I actually got it for Christmas, and then it was like a misprint, so we're sending it back and having them give me one or whatever. I'm gonna go AO3 material. It's very middle ground. I see where people loved it, I see where people don't like it. I was definitely very like in the middle. I would put it here, like in this category, but I remember it all and I do care about it enough to read the second book at least. Dowry Blood, Call Me a Dog for sure. Ate that up. Vampires, hot people, I don't know. Like what else do you need? Yeah, recommend it. I feel like everyone's read this. I'm really excited for this author's new book to come out in 2024, I think. I've seen a couple people read it and review it, and a lot of great things. Hopefully I can get my hands on that as soon as possible, because I am ready to read that. The Troop. This was my second Nick Cutter book. I definitely enjoyed it more than The Deep, which was weird because I'm not, like, The Deep was more psychological stuff and The Troop is more like body horror and gore, but I'm not really into that. But this, I just like the storytelling of this book a lot, and the characters, and just like everything that happened with it. I think it's gonna go in and Call Me a Dog. Yeah, because you would understand it, but not like I ate that up. Okay, next we have The Secret History. This was also a reread. I read it a couple years ago. Wanted to reread it because I remembered stuff but not all of it, and then I was like seeing everyone else read it and I was like, okay, let me reread this, let me go back to it. And so I read it. I think I gave it 3 stars, which yeah. I'll put in AO3. Yeah, that feels right. A Room of One's Own. I don't really care. Actually, maybe even Shredder, because it's short, but also like not an easy read. Like it wasn't an easy read for me, and it's very stream of consciousness, and like you don't get a plot really. Well, it's just like words. And it's words I read for school, so. Okay, Parable of the Sower literally changed my life. You would never understand it because you just wouldn't understand it, but I think everyone should read it. I think that even though it's a hugely popular book, no one I know has read it, so maybe change that. Maybe that be my Christmas gift. You guys read Parable of the Sower and tell me how it is. But if you hate it, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Okay, Master of Jin. I like this book. It was weird because I really enjoyed the reading experience, but I didn't, like at the end of it, I was like, okay, what did I gain from this? But I did eat it up. I don't know. I don't think it belongs there. I think it belongs to AO3 material. It's a great book. This is another one where it's like a standalone fantasy where it does stuff but not enough for me, I guess. It was good though. Like I can't even hate on it. Like I enjoyed it. It was just not everything that I wanted. It wasn't everything I expected, and it didn't leave me with anything, so it was very just like, okay. One for My Enemy. This was my second Oliver Blake book. I've read The Atlas 6, didn't love it. This book I definitely enjoyed a lot more. I think it's like a Romeo and Juliet like inspired book, and it had witches and it was cool and fun and fresh. Okay, I'll say Call Me a Dog. I did eat it up a little bit. Definitely recommend for people who like something quick, fast-paced, which is Romeo and Juliet. I'll be like, I'm gonna start just saying buzzwords. That's so much fun. Okay, Giovanni's Room, James Baldwin. Yeah, the new material. It was great. Great experience, great time. Glad I read it, but it was just like that. It was like, okay, yeah, Giovanni in his room. Okay, first person singular. This is my last Murakami of the year. I really don't even... Was this also short stories? Yes, it was. They're all told from the first person singular point of view. I remember now. It's also gonna go in IDGF. It was good. I wonder... I think I probably gave both of these 3 stars. Fourth Wing. Finally got around to reading this. Definitely had time with it. My vlog is up if you want to see that. This is one of the books where, like, at the end of it, I read it in like maybe like 8 hours. I think, like, sat down in the whole night. I didn't like do anything besides read. And so when I was done with it, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a slate. Like, okay, I like it. I see why people like it. And then, like, now in hindsight, like 2 months later, I'm like, oh, I'm definitely not gonna read the second book. At least not anytime soon. Not with my own money. But I did enjoy it. Okay, it's gotta go in IDGF. I don't like, cause I feel like if I cared more, I'd be avoiding spoilers for Iron Throne. What's it called? The second one. But I honestly don't care, because I don't think I'm gonna read it, especially not as a long series like people were saying it's gonna be. But I think the first book was good. I would say it's good. But I think that's all it is. Okay, Kindred. I like this book a lot. Oh, I don't know though. I don't think I would say Call Me a Dog though. This book, I have no idea which category to put it in. It was a quick read and a very interesting read, and I understand why it's like super popular. And there's really nothing bad to say about it, besides I just like didn't attach myself to it like I did with Parable of the Sower. I just feel like I don't feel as strongly as I do with some of these other books, so maybe I'll just put in AO3. And that's what we're doing. Okay, Foxhole Court. I don't want to talk about it. This is like my 3rd or 4th reread. I'm slowly annotating the books. I get emotional when I talk about it. Don't at me, please don't at me. I can't do this. How did this happen? Where is this? Somewhere here. The Foxhole Court means, if you know, you know. This book is like toxic and terrible, and the characters are terrible, and it's super badly written. But I care so deeply about this book. This whole series in general, but especially this first book. Like, I remember reading it for the first time and being the same age that Neil is in the first book, and just like, oh. Yeah, it's crazy. If you haven't read it, maybe don't. Near Through Wild Heart. This book was fun. Actually, this book was really hard to read for me. I read it for class. I got something out of it, sure. Maybe I wrote an essay on it, so I had to get something out of it, but I don't know. I would recommend it if you like women's lit like that. Like, it's hard to describe. It's very hard. It's not, I don't know. It was hard for me to read, but I think that might have been just a me problem. But I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the discussions that came out of it. Okay, Silver Under Nightfall. This was just like a fun little read. It's about vampires and a human, and what else do you need to know? I don't think I'm gonna pick up the sequel though. I think like I'm fine where it left off, and I don't know, it was just like a fun read to read in October, November time. I'm gonna put in AO3 just because it feels like something I would read on AO3, which I think it is like some type of fan fiction from some type of fandom. I don't remember what, but I think it's like published fan fiction. So Disaster Tourist. Yeah, it's gotta go there. Same thing. It was a fine book. I just don't care about it. Like, I don't think I'm ever gonna think about it in my everyday life. But it was fine. Perfectly fine. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Read this before watching the movie. I think AO3 material. It was good, and the more I think about it, the more I enjoy it, like the book itself. And I think, oh, maybe it should be Call Me a Dog, because I really did eat it up. Okay, you know what, I do feel comfortable moving up there. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it was fine. I think it was fun, and I think it made me understand the movie so much better. Like, I'm glad I read it before watching the movie, because I would just not have understood anything. So we have Outdrawn here. This was like literally a book I picked up on Kindle just on the whim because I saw a singular TikTok about it. It wasn't even about this book, it was just like anticipated book. And I'm like, oh, that looks fun. So I picked it up. It really has to go in IDGF. So I read it maybe not even a month ago and don't remember it. But it was fun when I read it. Like, it was perfectly fine. Like, actually, like, it feels like something I would read on AO3. But it's not AO3 material. Does that make sense? Let me know. Gallant. Picked this up on audiobook. It definitely happened. I'll put in AO3 material. No, I can't. It has to go in IGF. I tried to like this book, and I did like it. I understand why people like it. It just like was so slow to me. So slow. So not worth it. Like, I'm actually like borderline putting it in Shredder, but I don't think there was anything actively bad about it. I just like didn't love it, didn't enjoy it. There's like only a few parts that I actually were like, oh, this is cool, but it like not enough for it to outweigh the negatives to me. Okay, Modern Divination. This book low-key put me in the slump. I was reading it for like a month. I'll put in AO3 material because I did enjoy it, and I might pick up the second book because I don't think it was this book that really put me in a slump. I think it was me in a slump, and this book just happened to be the one I was reading while doing it. But there wasn't anything that I didn't like about it. Like, I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the plot, I enjoyed the magic in it. I wish it was a little bit more fast-paced, but I think we might get that in the second book, so we'll see. And then last but not least, just finished this a couple days ago, is Fledgling. Fledgling, I don't know where to put this. This was my third Octavia E. Butler book, and definitely, I don't know, I just have a lot of thoughts on it. I think I give it 3 stars right now, but it could like literally go up to like a 4 stars or down to a 2 stars depending on how I think about it and how I think about my reading experience. I'll put in AO3 right now because I feel like that's right. There's just so much, like, I need to sit down and really like parse through my thoughts about this book, and it really shouldn't be that hard. It's just this book really threw me for a loop. Just thinking about how I feel about it. I can't even describe it. It's like, well, actually I can't describe it. It's about a vampire, a girl named Shori, and she is black, and she's like the first black vampire because they did like some tests on her to make her darker so she can like survive in the sunlight. And basically her family is like killed, and she wakes up and she doesn't have any of her memories, and then she has to like learn about herself and everything else. And it's just, well, first of all, I just hate the lost memory trope. It makes me so annoyed because it makes the main characters feel so incompetent sometimes, which wasn't my main problem with this book because the main character is very strong and very like resilient, but there's just so many other things that made me just mad and grossed out and uncomfortable. But also I really enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed it for what it was, and I enjoy this author's writing a lot. Like, that was never an issue for me. So there's just so much stuff I have to work out and think about, but I think I'm okay putting in AO3 material. Like, I think it can sit there. Okay, I guess that's our ranking. Like, I guess it isn't bad. It's definitely not what I expected. And like, looking at these books, I know I definitely missed a few. Like, I know there's probably at least like 2 or 3 maybe, but hey, not my issue. I know what books I read, you just don't. Anyway, if you're still watching, I appreciate it. I think this was fun for me. I love watching tier ranking videos, so I thought doing it would be fun, and it was. Yeah, if you read any of these and agree with me or don't agree with me, let me know. I love talking, so this is definitely gonna be my last video this year, but I'll see you in the new year. Stay safe, stay hot, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys later.